We have now next to me Assemblywoman Shelly Mayer.
Right, thank you.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me this beautiful night. Cold but beautiful.
Kind of cold out there, but it's nice and warm in here.
Very good.
And so, as I'm asking every state lawmaker, what are your top priorities for the year?
Well, my top priority is getting enough money for the city of Yonkers. You know, I only represent one place, city of 200,000, the fourth biggest city in New York. Unfortunately, it's gotten the short shrift for a long time. And as part of my job is to make sure that in terms of city funding, AIM funding, and school funding, that the city of Yonkers gets what it deserves. Unfortunately, because of the school aid formula, it has a disproportionate hit because its property tax values are high because it's next to New York City. So that's unfortunate in the formula. And the second thing is, it's a city that's just coming back. It's rebounding economically. We have new economic development opportunities, but we need help from the city and from the state. And I look forward to hearing the governor's proposals on property tax. It's an issue of concern in my district. That being said, we would be hard-pressed not to have more money for the city of Yonkers from the state of New York. We kept within the property tax cap for the last 2 years, but we have services we absolutely need to fund. And I am very concerned that we need to continue to work with the state to get sufficient funds for the city of Yonkers.
Is it also a question of mandate relief, that the state is mandating too much? And is there more that the state can do to help out struggling cities in New York?
Well, I'm not sure the mandate relief is the right phrase. I think there are mandates that are legitimate costs that are given to municipalities, and there are others that should be borne by the state. And the cost of education is probably the greatest one that in a perfect society should not be borne on a property tax basis, but should be borne by the state. But there's other requirements that are passed down to municipalities and counties that cause a pressure on the property tax base, and we have to address them. But I don't go with the blind sweep of mandate relief as a phrase. I think it's way too overgeneralized. And the fact is, we need adequate funding from somebody to pay for our schools and for our services.
Sure. And another big issue that's been in the news in recent months is ethics reform.
Yes.
The governor had pushed for some changes last year. He put together his Moreland Commission. What do you expect this year in terms of ethics reform?
Well, I'm very hopeful. We in the Assembly have been really in the forefront of a lot of the progressive ethics reform legislation, and I'm sure we will continue to push for it. I myself am very committed to public financing of campaigns, to strong ethics enforcement, to Board of Elections enforcement, and to everything to restore trust. You know, I represent ordinary taxpayers from poor to wealthy, all struggling, especially the poor ones. They demand and are entitled to the highest standards. So it's our obligation to make sure we hold each of us, our colleagues, to those standards. We need to improve it.
Assemblywoman Shelly Mayer, thanks for joining us tonight.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.